Okay, so thank you, Edoardo, so much for joining us. The Emma app, we've seen it kind of blow up over the past year or so. My team personally and me, we love kind of seeing what you're doing and following and, getting inspiration as well from your socials, from, the technology that you have and the developments there. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, then that'd be great.
Yeah, of course. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Emma. I've actually been building the app in the company for the last 3 years. That's when we launched in January 2018. I pretty much spend all my day just like working at Emma. And I started a company 3 years ago with my co-founder Antonio. It's been quite a long journey. We actually met in uni and now we're like, heads down, fully building Emma day to day.
That sounds great. And so I think one of the main questions actually is why the name Emma? This is something that I've always
Yeah.
heard.
One of my ex-girlfriends, some people have asked something like that. I was like, no. Actually, when we were in uni, we were like working on like a set of like different projects with Antonio, and we used to do like, a code name for each project. And once I want to name like a product like Emma because it was like the initials of our like names. I am EM, is MA. And we didn't do it because it didn't make any sense at the time. But when we were starting to build on this app, we were like, this makes a lot of sense. It adds a lot of context. It makes the product super friendly, approachable, and it's something that you want to use day to day. So we just opted with Emma and went with it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it totally suits it, as well as your kind of, your slogan being your best financial friend, which I really, really like.
Yeah.
That is super personable and just, makes it all I guess, easier to use. Because I've downloaded it and I've had a look at it, and I really kind of like the interface. It's just really easy to use, and it just kind of appeals. So I guess if you could go into a little more about the app, kind of the features, how consumers can use it, and if there's any different subscriptions that people can use as well, depending
Of course.
on the
So
kind of.
basically, at the core, we help people like save money. That's what we do on a day-to-day basis. Majority of our users, they download the app because they either have a problem in life that they want to solve, like, or they're planning to something. For example, there are people that are planning to get a mortgage in 2 years, so they want to get their finances sorted. There are people that just are working and they want to see how they're doing in their financial life and if they're like, making money or losing money. There are even people that just had kids and they want to control the aspect of their life. So at the core is like a savings app that allows you to connect all your bank accounts in one place, and then it basically allows to track your day-to-day spending in a very super simple way, but also track things like your recurring payments across all your like cards, set budgets across your like spending categories, and even get weekly insights in the way that you spend money into Emma. So it's a fully fledged, financial experience that you want to use on a day-to-day basis, which is fully focused on like tracking. As of today, as of tomorrow, it will change a bit because we're in the process of adding payments. So you will also be able to send and request money to friends, as well as like process bank transfers between all your accounts in one place. So I would say it's a very powerful product that people have used in like hundreds of thousands of ways.
Right. No, I think one of my favorite features is definitely just the original saving and being able to track your money. I think that, starting off super simple that way is always the best way to go when you do start to try and, I guess, take the reins of your financial life. And I think there does come a point as well where people decide to do it rather than, I don't think it's nothing that somebody's always done. There always is a point where people think, it's probably best that I look at my finances now, or like you said, I want to save up for a house in a couple of years, planning on having kids, getting married, just all those things in life that come together and, kind of not get in the way, but, need some financial kind of consideration, I guess. What's your personal favorite part of the app?
I think that, one of the most amazing parts of the app is the tracking of recurring payments because we allow you to connect all your accounts in one place and then we detect subscriptions on all those accounts. And this was one of the first features that we built in the product that we actually improved at least 5 to 10 times over the last 3 years because it was getting more and more difficult to actually detect subscriptions. And I think that, when we built it, we thought that this was just like a core functionality. And what we've realized over time is that this is actually like a really great hook for first-time users because you can't believe like how many people out there, they still are paying for things that they don't need to pay or they don't know that they're paying for. So it's quite interesting to see people that they download the app, they connect their accounts, and then after 10 minutes, they figure out those 3-4 things that they can change today to actually improve their financial life moving forward. And I think that's like super like interesting for today's features. In terms of like tomorrow's features, like we're starting to work on investing, so we want to enable people to invest in stocks, but also like invest in crypto, commodities, and other like assets, because we truly believe that there is like a huge market shift from savings to investing, and we think that we can be like a great enabler for that. So I'm truly excited to see Emma to become one of the sort of like enablers of investing in the UK and introduce people to the first time they invest in something.
No, definitely. I saw actually when Emma and yourself started posting about the investing side of things, and I was really excited because I know, working for a financial company as well, that investing is kind of like the big thing of 2021 after the whole was it GameStop?
Yes, GameStop,
After that kind of scandal, and kind of whatever happened there, I'm not totally clued up on it, but I know that it was a huge thing. I think that everything just blew up. Like, I've not been able to make a trading 212 account yet because there's still a waiting list to get on there, so I'm still waiting for that. But hopefully that'll come through soon.
I think that we're also like in a historical phase where like interest rates are either negative or at their lowest. So saving money and putting on a saving account is probably not the best thing to do. And I'm saying this for people that already have got some cash. For people that don't have any cash, probably saving is a good starting point.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think some of the things that I've come across recently as well is, obviously the importance of having kind of like starting with an emergency fund, kind of having that in the bag, and then starting that, I guess, the more exciting financial journey, where your personal portfolio is going to go, what you're going to invest in, how you're going to invest. If you use a Lisa or, a Help to Buy ISA, it's all really exciting. And I also like the fact that everyone's personal portfolio is so individual as well. You can totally kind of design it to make sure it suits you. Like, I know that Nutmeg offer kind of a sustainable portfolio, which I think is amazing. I think it's all going really well kind of in the fintech market at the moment. So in terms of budgeting, this week, actually, there's been a lot of news around the pandemic and how not only the entire country has been affected, but the different groups of people who have been specifically affected. So I think that this is something really important to discuss when it comes to money management in terms of everyday essentials and household bills, the things that we can't skip, the things that aren't negotiable. So I know that last week it was revealed that the UK has 4.4 billion in council tax arrears. There was warnings about the scaling back of the furlough scheme as well. They're looking at kind of taking that away. And also an article came out recently that said that 1 out of 10 single parents reported debt increases throughout the pandemic, which is 3 times as much as households without children. So I guess my question is, from your point of view, how can these people use money management to improve their situation when it's just not the thing that's at the front of their mind? Because I think a lot of people associate money management and fintech with, being time consuming, even though it's the opposite. It's, it's meant to be a quicker process.
Yeah. I think that, the first step is to probably start looking at your bank account. The main reason why people don't save or they're not able to budget is because they don't look. And sometimes it's because, like, they're scared of looking. And I think that Emma, as of it today, is like a super friendly app that sort of like removes the embarrassment into looking the numbers and actually figuring out what's happening. So probably it's not even just about adopting fintech or adopting any sort of like money management tool, but it's about really like getting conscious that looking at your balance every day is not an issue, it's not scary, and it can be done, throughout the day, even like multiple times. And once you get that sort of like awareness, that awareness sometimes is also enough to understand when it makes sense to spend and not to spend. There are like millions of rules on how to improve your budgeting and how to save money and blah blah blah. And it's all like faff, because at the end of the day you just need to look at your bank account and realize that if you cannot afford to spend, do not spend. And trust me, at the end of the month the money will be in your bank account. I've never believed in tools that take money out of your bank account every week. I've never believed in methodologies, because it's super simple, right? It's more about not spending and having it there. In my case, what I really do is like, I'm not, although I build a budgeting app, I'm not really like into like budgeting category by category. And I use like a simple format of like, I make X, I can spend Y, and this is how much I'm going to save at the end of the month. And I know that every month I'm saving that amount, and it's always constant and fixed. And that's the amount that on the day I get paid, I move somewhere else, and it does not sit on my current account. So yeah, definitely there is like a lot of ways of doing it. I think that mine is the simplest and probably most approachable. But definitely, it really comes down to really having the willingness to do it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think what you said about kind of checking bank accounts is just so true. It resonates with me. I think it would resonate with every single person. I think when you're in that situation where you are a bit more worried about your finances, or you feel like you do need to save, and it's that first kind of taking the plunge of checking your finances on a regular basis. So just to have an idea of where you are, because I've had some months where I realize I'm not spending that much, but then I've had other months where my work lunches have added up to about £60 or something, and I've looked at it and gone, oh my god, how's that happened? So I guess, yeah, being on top of your bank account and being able to check it without stressing out, or feeling guilty as well. I think a lot of people beat themselves up over what they spend, but then they don't do anything about it. So I think, like you said, that willingness to approach a money management or budgeting kind of app or different method is what's needed first.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like, life is very long, and if you want to fix your financial status, you can even take 6 months out and avoid drinks, avoid entertainment, avoid expensive lunches, and you will get there in a way or another.
Yeah, I think it totally depends on priorities, doesn't it? And kind of what you're willing to give up in order to reach your financial goals, whether there's a time period on that or not. But I think a lot of it as well comes down to financial literacy, which I definitely don't think we have enough of in the UK. I wanted to hear your thoughts on it, actually, about, I guess, whose responsibility is it to provide financial literacy? And if it is the responsibility of, say, schools from a young age, or if we think it's a responsibility of parents, or certain government like businesses or companies, how should it be implemented?
I think the responsibility is definitely from the government, as in any single case. Because they are the ones that control education, and when you're raised up, you get taught a lot of things, and you don't get taught the most basic one, which is like money and the history of like money, and how it works and why it's there. So definitely, having like a course in school which is all about money, investing, saving, and all the asset classes out there, it would be really interesting, to actually experiment with that. I also think that our lives are very like, it's very gradual in the sense that, when you're like 15 and 16, if you're lucky, your parents give you some like pocket money. Then if you go to uni and you start working even like at a local bar, you start getting some money from, your like student job. And then when you get out of uni, you actually get your first job. So the sort of like the sort of relationship with money, it builds up over like a period of like 10 years. If you're like in the sense that you're like in this position, and so it's not really like a shock wave that really destroys your system from one day to another. And it builds up, like when I was 15, I was getting some pocket money, my twin sister was getting some pocket money. After 6 months, I had like a pile of cash, a small pile of cash in my room. She had nothing. And that went on for a few years, and now she's probably even better than me. So it's really about how you grow with it, and how you sort of like learn from it than anything else. And also it's also like a matter of like choices, right? Because if you don't want to save, you're also free not to save, right? Just like there's no one forcing you. It's not even about like financial literacy at that point. It's just like your own choice.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that you're right in saying that your relationship with money, I guess you get more money as your responsibility grows as well, which I think is most of the time just how life works out. Is that, like you said, when you are younger and you get some pocket money off your parents, you've not got bills to pay, you've not got many responsibilities, you might have a paper round or a part-time job, but there's nothing pressing. And then, like you said, as it grows and you go to uni and then you get your first full-time job, that's when more and more money becomes available to you as well. So I think that graduality is actually something that's really positive, as kind of a learning curve, I guess. And in terms of technology, obviously, both yourself and us, huge fans of financial technology in the fintech space. But do you think technology is the future of finance in terms of, do you think there'll be a need for things like physical banks and cash in 10, 20, 30 years? I know that's a really loaded question because there's so many factors to it, but I think that it's probably a possibility.
Well, I mean, if you look at financial services, like 99% of it is already like based on technology. So it's not even like a question anymore. It's more like, it's the way it's going and it's the way they will go. Cash, I think that in the UK, we've completely like destroyed it. Now it's more a question of like, do we need banks? Because crypto and the blockchain, what they're telling us is that, we probably might not need like banks and financial institutions in the next 10, 20 years. And it might be that we live in a world where everything is decentralized, and it's going to be like a super exciting world. So yeah, I think that's the next step. Like technology, 100% sure. Banks, institutions, not so sure. And, the next 10, 20 years will sort of like define that. And I think that with Emma, we know this, and that's why we want to even move the product into cryptocurrencies and add them into the product, because we see that, it's a super strong movement that is growing day by day, and it might take over everything.
Yeah, no, I agree. I did read something the other day that was about the older generations and cash, their reliance and dependence on cash. Do you think that is something that will stand in the way of a quicker progression to a cashless society?
No, it's not about the old generations, but what moves change and what moves elections sometimes is the young, hungry generation. And when you see at that sort of like age range between 18 to 35, they're already in the future, right? And we as a young generation, because I'm 27, we don't have to take care of people that are above 50, 60 that lived in a different world. We actually need to build the future, and we're actually doing it day by day. So I don't see that as a problem. I think, and I don't even think that there is any need to actually teach another generations on how to live, because they were raised in different ways with different systems. But I've also seen like other people, in the age range that stop using cash, and they live the same life as someone that is like 18, because they adapt and they can see the value into it, right?
Mhm.
And I also see it where I'm from. I'm from Italy, and that's like a very strong cash-based society, but that's fading away slowly, and it will eventually. The other big problem about cash is that it leads to sort of like criminal activities, because it cannot be tracked. So even from the government, there is a huge push into like stopping people from using cash. And even in that case, it's not a case about teaching other or anything like that. It's the government job to actually impose it and put sort of like incentives to for merchants to just accept, digital payments, and probably even like tax cash, put like sort of like some sort of like tax for every cash transactions.
Yeah, no, and I think obviously as well, I mean, I know it's not as big of a factor, and it's something that I think will die down eventually, but there's also kind of the contamination phase as well, especially with, we're now slowly coming out of a global pandemic. I know a lot of places around me, and I live in Leeds and in the city centre where that is, that they don't accept cash anymore because they don't want the contamination, the germs kind of.
I moved to the UK in 2012 in Manchester to study computer science. So I've been here for 9 years, and I don't think I've ever done a cash withdrawal in 9 years. I think it probably only happened 3 or 4 times, and that was to actually spend £2 for the cloak room in some clubs, when you need to take off your coat and they only accept £2 cash. So that was my only cash usage. And if some places don't accept the card, I usually don't go there. Like, go the first time, then it's like, okay, bye. You're not gonna see me again, because I can't be bothered, right? And that's pretty much it.
But no, it's true completely. Like it's the same way as the other way around. Sometimes if someone's only got cash, they won't go to a place that only has card payments anymore. But like you said, we're moving towards a cashless society. The future is digital. The future is tech. So it's just natural for businesses to adopt that and make sure that they're appealing to.
Have you ever had that sort of like awkward moment where you go to a place, you're there with your debit card, you're about to pay, and they're like, "Oh, we only accept cash," and you don't have any cash, and then they tell you that there is a cash machine, like.
Yeah, been there too many times.
And maybe you have just ordered food, and there is everything there ready to pick up, and you cannot.
And you're like, "I'll be right back," and you've got a big queue behind you as well. Yeah.
So, and that's one of those moments where you say, okay, I'm not gonna pay, bye, and you don't even take the food, and you leave the food on the table.
It makes sense in every way, definitely.
What can you do?
Yeah. And my final question, which I think is a question that a lot of people will take away from this, is what is your one piece of biggest money management advice that you're willing to share with us?
I think I'm probably the most boring person on earth, because I tend to repeat myself a lot. It's really about check your bank account every day. Check your bank account. Check your bank account, and always don't spend more than what you can afford. So if you make £2,000, £1,000, don't spend more than that. There is no need for it. And there is also no need for using your overdraft. Pretend that it does not exist. even lending in any way, like an overdraft, a credit card, or even like a simple short-term loan, they don't exist. Pretend that they don't exist, because once you're in, you're not gonna get out. Especially with payday loans or credit cards, they're built in a way to keep sort of like increasing, and they will sort of like own you for life.
Yeah, no, completely. And I think as well, again, checking the bank balance is the way to start, really. So yeah.
I have one of my best friends, in 2018, when I built the first version of Emma, he was fully in overdraft and he was struggling. And he started like budgeting, and then after a year and a half, he managed to be fully out of the overdraft. And
Oh.
now he's actually saving. But even in that case, it's like it could even be like a very long process, because in his case, he was like £700 overdraft. So it's really the case of like saving £50 every month and repaying that with that process. And after a year and a half, those £700 like they're fully repaid, and you're out. So there is that. There are many other options. There is also like, I think, the free debt advice that you can use and consult. So definitely, I think that even in the UK, there are a lot of like possibilities to fix whatever mistake we have done in the past, or even improve on the basis of what we have.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think actually I do have another question going on from that last one now, is what are your thoughts around debt and taking out debt? Because obviously we're a debt company, and we deal with people who have literally been made redundant. They've had huge income loss due to job loss or sickness, loads of circumstances that are out of people's control. Obviously we have the people as well that overspend and live beyond the means, which is another part of debt. But we also have people that use debt to live, really.
Mm-hmm. No, I use like a credit card to basically spend everywhere. And I think, and I'm a big advocate to have like a credit card, simply because it creates like a credit history for you, improves your credit score, and it actually it's even good for cash flow, because all the cash that you have in the bank stays there until you have to pay for the credit card. But even in the mindset, I don't ever see myself not repaying the credit card, in the sense that every month I use my credit card for a specific amount, and then the following month the direct debit gets that amount. It's never the case that I cancel the direct debit, or I keep accumulating this like debt, which I will need to repay over time in different like tranches. So, and credit cards are like probably one of like the biggest killers here, because I've got like a very high interest like rate on the debt that you take. So I would completely highly discourage any form of like that in any way. I don't think it makes sense, and I don't think it's the option. I think it's an option for rich people, in the sense that if you are like in a very wealthy position, you want to buy a new house, you want to even buy some property, doesn't make any sense to buy in cash. Maybe it's better to take like a huge loan, a very cheap interest rate, and then take the money, and then money maybe you invest in and it will grow. But for people that struggle, getting into a spiral with like a 20 to 22% APR on a credit card is completely nonsense, because you don't even have the ability or even like needs to actually get back on track. So the moment you get it is the moment that sort of like you kill yourself financially. So stay away from overdrafts, credit cards, and any sort of like payday loans.
Yeah, no, completely.
But even like the Klarna of these wars, like buy now, pay later, forget about it.
Yeah, I mean, we're big advocates against buy now, pay later, actually. And I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say that I've never used a buy now, pay later, because I have, but it's always been in the case where I have the money, I don't really know why I've used it, to be honest. I've always had the money, and I've just delayed that payment, say if I might have to pay for something else that month. But I think definitely buy now, pay later schemes for people who don't have the money, or people that are already in debt, are a very, very dangerous road to go down.
You know, if you don't have the money, it means that you cannot buy it. So it's just like, it's as easy as that. I have used probably like buy now, pay later once, but that was because the APR was like zero interest. And again, it is still like a scary path because that counts as like a loan. So it goes into your credit history. If you skip some repayments, it will affect your credit score. So I tend to avoid any sort of like type of loan pretty much.
Yeah, no, me too. But yeah, it's been great to chat to you today, Edoardo. And I've loved finding out about the app, everything you're doing, and obviously your opinions around finance and fintech and debt. And yeah, I think a lot of people will be excited to see our conversation, hopefully.
Thanks a lot.